let's get back started.
Let's go. So the rest of this, what it looks like is we're going to talk about a couple of case scenarios, case studies, and then we're going to talk about the scorecards a little bit because they're related to the case studies and how they've changed. We're going to talk about then we're going to talk about thriving. So when we get to the end, we'll talk about what do we actually do now that we know that there's a challenge or a problem. So the first case study, this is my friend Maria. She works as a full-time retail manager, earning $45,000 a year. Over the past 2 years, inflation has risen 6% annually. Her wages have only increased by 3%. It doesn't matter what she does at work. The value of her work is determined by the owners of the company, what they're willing to pay. So her options are get a higher paying job or save some money. So the rising cost of living, groceries, anybody have groceries costs going up? Rent, utilities, they forced her to rely on credit cards. So now she's not using credit cards as a tool, she's using it as survival. So now her debt load is increasing, so now her credit score goes lower, and now she doesn't have access to as much credit options. So she's now going backwards. So since her monthly budget leaves little room to pay more than the minimum on the credit card, she's now subject to the interest. Now her rental utilization is too high. She can't refinance her car loan or qualify because now her credit score is so low that it falls below the minimum of what they will allow for refinancing. So what she needs to do is focus on reducing her utilization rate by reallocating her tax refund. Right? So I know it's a once a year thing, but maybe she can also contact her employer about what her withholdings are and adjust those to increase her money. Maybe she has money going somewhere in these other locations for her IRA. Maybe she can reduce that for a little bit. So again, don't avoid free money because it doesn't look like free money. If you need that money, you got to pull back on some things. You also need to have a plan of how you're going to rebound back on those things. So she can contact her creditors to negotiate lower interest rates if she has a good payment history. Let them know what's going on. That's why I say it's a lot easier to communicate with your creditors before things get bad. And let them know because they don't want to lose you as a customer. You don't want to lose that account. They don't really want to go through the collection process, but they will if they have to. It's almost like a last resort. They'd rather keep you as a well-paying customer, making sure that they're paying the interest, because that's what they really want is the interest on the purchase that you made, the coffee you bought. They want the interest. So paying off her $5,000 balance over 6 months, her utilization will drop to 30%, boosting her credit score by 50 points. And so she can rebound by doing that. Just reallocating the same amount of money that she already has. Inflation is just going to be inflation. It's just going to keep going up. There's nothing we can do about that. So the key takeaway is that in an inflationary economy, raising income might be difficult, but strategic debt repayment can improve credit and unlock better financial opportunities. Case study number 2. This is the gig economy and the income variability scenario. So James is a freelance graphic designer earning $60,000 annually, but his income fluctuates monthly. During slow months, he's been unable to make full payments on his credit cards, resulting in late fees and a credit score drop to 620. So his inconsistent income makes it hard to build an emergency fund or repair his money, and with a low credit score, he's offered higher interest rates on loans. So he's got to increase his financial burden. So the first thing he's going to do is use a budgeting app that you can download. There's 100 out there. I have a recommendation to protect expenses. Prioritize paying down high income months. So when you make that money, allocate that towards those things that you need to pay off. Maybe avalanche those bills, paying off the higher interest rates ones first. So he could also increase his productivity because he's self-employed. He can do more of what he was already doing if he has the capacity. So to boost his credit score quickly, he becomes an authorized user on his brother's credit card. So he doesn't get the car, but he gets the benefit of what his brother's offered to help him increase the score. His brother has a 10-year positive payment history, low utilization, And within 6 months, his score rises 60 points, qualifying him for a loan with a lower interest rate. And so it's just utilizing the people that are around you and taking advantage of things that may not look like free money. So building credit while managing variable income requires disciplined budgeting, side income, and leveraging relationships with people who have better creditworthiness than you at that time. So there are some options out there if you talk to the right people. So let's talk about relating credit repair to interest rates and lending requirements. So in today's economy, wages often lag behind inflation, which we've already talked about, leaving less disposable income to tackle debt. So I have an example of 2 mortgage loans that I want to share with you real quick. So a higher credit score unlocks lower interest rates, true? Higher credit score, lower interest rate, true? Mm-hmm. Okay. Reducing borrowing costs. For example, someone with a 750 credit score might structure a mortgage at 5%, while someone at 620 could pay 7%. Lots of money in savings. How much money is that actually? So here's 2 examples. At a 5% loan over 30 years, your monthly payment for principal and interest is $4,000. In today's economy in Washington, $4,000 a month will get you a $265,000 loan.
You can't live in that. Oh, shoot. Sorry.
Just as a point of reference. So how much do you need to make to buy a house? Not $4,000. It's got to be more than that. So your payment for principal is $750, or your total that you're paying is $750. Your interest over the 30 years is $700,000. So you're paying $750 for the loan. You got a loan for $750, and you're paying $700,000. That's $1.5 million that you paid over 30 years for this house.
That's 2 houses for the price of one.
Now, the good thing is, as long as the value's there, that house should be worth in 30 years. We're hoping it's worth $3 to $4 million at least, right? We hope that it doubles, triples. That doesn't always happen. Now, the other person who got a 620 credit score, 7% over 30 years, their principal and interest payment went from $4,000 to $5,000. So now you got $1,000 more going out just to the loan. So you're paying $750 for the principal, again, same as the other person. Now your interest is $1.05 million. So you went from $700 in interest to over $1 million. That's $300,000 in equity over 30 years. So just by taking a few extra steps between now and the time you apply for a loan, you can save yourself and your financial picture for wealth building tons and thousands of dollars over a 30-year period. Now, most people don't keep their mortgage for 30 years, and some people do. They pay it off. Most people refinance their mortgage in 7 years or so. But you're just adding still to it. Mm-hmm. Paying it off is a different thing. Mm-hmm. So building wealth through life insurance policies in a brokerage account that's owned by your trust turns into an initial investment of $300,000 in 21 years. By that I mean, if you were to take that $300,000 that you saved because you had a better credit score, and you put that equity to work because your money is sleeping while it's in equity, it's not doing anything, and it's subject to the market. But if you structure it right in a certain life insurance policy owned by a specific entity that's also tax-free, you could live off that money and also transfer it to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and double that money over that 21-year period so that they have that money coming into them. And all because you bought one house. So this is a plan that can go years into the future, but how do we make that plan go backwards in the past? We can't. Time has already passed. We just didn't have the financial tools or the information to make that happen at that time, but now we can move forward. So the point of this is don't think of a house as just a place to live. It's an investment that can build generational wealth if you structure it properly. So, first thing you got to do is pay down your high interest rate debt. Make sure that you're reducing your credit utilization to get your scores up so that you can qualify for a better loan, so you can save more money and invest that money properly. So, let's talk real quick about bank scorecards Because we had a little bit of a conversation about what happens when you build your credit up from 680 to 750. How long does that take? It's relative to the person, right? It can take a while, depending on where you are. It depends on what you have on your account, on your scorecard from the bank. Because the bank is going to leverage your information against other people who have the same type of accounts. So it's not just a credit report, it's a scorecard that they keep.
Wow.
That's why your score fluctuates so dramatically, because the people that are like you, same income bracket, same age, same area, are all leveraged so that the bank can quickly identify. They're not looking at individual credit reports, they're looking at a bank of reports. And so now all of you are on a scorecard. So your 680, how much is the salt worth, is not as much as the other person because they're not doing the same activity you are. But you're compared to them because of the demographics, because of the area. So now all Group A, even though you got a 680,
Right.
because you're in Group A, when you utilize your credit, you're going to go down further because those people in that don't take care of their credit. They're fluctuating just like everybody else in that bucket.
Oh.
How long does it take to move from one scorecard to the next? Could take a couple of years. It depends on how they calculate the formula. So all this is happening in the background. You don't really have any idea when it's going to happen. They just move you to the next. So let's say you have a bankruptcy on your credit report. Doesn't matter what you do, because that bankruptcy puts you in the bankruptcy scorecard bucket. So when you say on the loan, have you applied for bankruptcy in the last 7 years, you immediately are on that scorecard.
Okay.
So no matter what you do, paying your bills on time, credit utilization is low, you got a good mix of accounts, you got some authorized user accounts, you're still bankruptcy risk.
Wow.
Until that bankruptcy comes off the report.
10 years.
Could be 10 years.
So I could have an 800 square credit score with a bankruptcy and and put in the same category with 550.
Yes.
And
And the second you do something, your score drops and plummets because the weight of that score is not as heavy as it is somebody who didn't
do
bankruptcy.
that. Wow.
That's how they determine how quickly they can assess your credit worthiness by people that they leverage. So there's so much data out there that it's easy for them to do that, but they can't look at every single data point.
But we can find out what our score is. We can access or ask for the scorecard information.
No.
Did you just shake your head? No.
That is a bank secret. So you will never be able to get your scorecard, but you can get bankruptcy off because those are things that put you on a certain scorecard, or foreclosure, or repossession, or late payments.
How do you know what category that you might be in? What if I don't have a bankruptcy, but I'm in somebody else's category? How do I find out what category I'm in?
Well, you're in the category for a reason.
Well, but I'm just saying, if my credit score as is at 780 right now, but when I go to buy a house, the interest is like crazy.
Yeah.
I got student loans, but
You compare to everyone who has student loans, and their behavior is going to be based on how far your credit score can stretch.
dang
So your
it.
780 might be inflated depending on what service you are using to look at that 780. Because remember, there's 100 different scores out there. So just because I'm looking at FICO 8 and my score says 780, the bank might be looking at an older model.
That's disrespectful.
That score is different. So what's the solution, right? Like this is all gloom and doom. The solution is look at your credit report often, know what's on there, be able to determine was I actually late, and dispute the stuff that is actually inaccurate before it gets to a point where you have to, before it's sold or before somebody calls you. Like be active in your credit report. Don't be afraid to call them and negotiate a lower interest rate or a different term. They're willing to work with you if you're not late. If you're a good borrower, you can call them a lot easier than if you become late. Now they're calling you. So you initiate it. You determine what that looks like for you. So the credit limits, the limitation of the bank scores, the data is focused on credit reports. If you have limited credit history, young adults, recent immigrants who have low or no credit scores, you may not, in their eyes, you may not be financially responsible. They don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't interview you, right? To ask you questions about your past and determine what your score is. They just tell you what it is. Nobody's able to generate their own credit score. Well, there is a way. There is a way.
I'm gonna win a lot.
We're talking about generational wealth. It's like, what do we do with that money? So, let's say we were a business, right? We're talking about how are we going to turn our $100,000, let's say $10,000 each. We all put it into a pot. How are we going to turn that into $100,000 next year? Well, we have to figure out some kind of investment strategy. We have to figure out how much we have. Where can we put that money as a group? What kind of business structure do we have? Do we create an LLC? Do we create a trust? Do we start investing in real estate? What do we invest our money in as a group to determine how much of an interest rate we can return? Then we apply the rule of 72, which is how long it's going to take us to double that money, so that we can now talk about in a year, this is what our investment's going to look like. Let's put it in real estate. Let's buy some notes. Let's buy some properties. Let's buy some rental income properties. Let's buy a duplex as a group. So you tend to group your money together. It's a lot easier to have better buying power. So now we have a company instead of us individually trying to do the same thing. Because as I grew up, it was you're going to buy a house, you're going to live in a house, but nobody talked about how we're going to help each other. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that's not the access to information we had. We were told what we were told, and that's how we live our life. But now we know different. We can learn different. So basically the conclusion is bank scorecards are legitimate and significant tools by lenders to see your credit worthiness. They're not the only factor in figuring out what loan you can get, but they do play a major role in determining the terms and conditions of the credit. So moving from one scorecard to the next can take quite a bit of time. The process can be gradual. It can take years. You have no control over it, except the things that you can control. Control the things you can control and the things you can't. Don't worry. Past credit mistakes can follow you, so make sure you attack those as quickly as you possibly can. Make sure your credit complexity is diverse in the sense where you have different types of accounts, credit cards, bank loans. Those things are all good. It's like eating broccoli, right? They're all good carbs. It's just, who wants broccoli? Broccoli is good for you.
Oh, it's got cheese on it.
Consistency is also the key, and also credit utilization. All right. So, all in all, I hope you learned a little bit about credit, a little more, to ask deeper questions like, what is it going to take for me to get my score from here to here, and what does the bank see when I get my score there? It's not really a question they can answer for you, but you can answer for yourself by making sure you're consistent, that you're on time, your credit utilization is low, your payments are on time, and that it fits into your budget because you planned it out. All right. So let's talk about thriving. So this is the money management portion of it. We're talking about budgeting, saving, investing, borrowing, and planning for the future. So this is called Hack Your House. I have a calculator that I use as a mortgage lender. It would determine what is my home affordability calculation. And as a mortgage lender, I was able to sit down with people and figure out what are you paying each month and what are you going to be paying, so I can figure out how much of a house you can afford. And so let's go through this real quick. Let's say borrower one. Let's give borrower one an income. How much does borrower one make per month?
A month.
10,000.
10,000. Okay. Got a borrower two. How much does borrower two make?
5.
Don't be shy.
Yeah,
5,000. Okay. Now let's say you have a car loan. How much is your car loan?
5. Monthly. 300.
300. Okay. What else you got?
Student loans,
Okay.
400.
400. Okay.
You got utilities and stuff you're supposed to put.
Yeah, I was gonna say house utilities.
Okay.
That's
So
running about, well, it depends on the house you live in. But we gonna say $250 for everything: water, sewer, garbage, electricity.
okay. All right. And then how about your credit cards total?
Ooh.
Minimum payments.
Making minimum payments?
Mhm.
Probably on the average, it's probably about maybe $300 a month.
Okay. What about car insurance?
Again, depends on the individual.
Right.
But about 200, 250.
Okay. What about food and groceries?
That's important.
You gotta eat, right?
Are we talking about for one person in the
Let's say
house?
2 people, let's say four-person household. These
Okay.
incomes, they have 2 kids.
Shoot, food nowadays, my God.
200
For what, a week?
a week, maybe?
A week
A
or,
couple of days?
right. At least a good 600, 4 people.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's say 1,500.
That's about right.
That's pretty much $400 a week. That's $100. Okay.
Yeah.
That includes everything. That
Right.
includes going to Costco once a week. So let's say $1,500.
All right.
What other expenses do we have? We got car insurance. We got car payment. What about cell phone,
Cell phone, so.
internet, like all the things, those hidden costs that we have? Let's say we're at 500 for a family of 4.
Yeah. But that's phones and the internet.
Phones and internet.
Okay. We don't have cable in our house. We use an apps.
Okay. That, if you get enough apps, it can add up to the
That's
case.
true too. That is true.
All right. So as a lender, my goal is to look at what you're going to be paying for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance,
Okay.
and mortgage insurance if your deposit is lower than 20% for conventional, and if it's FHA, you have mortgage insurance.
Okay.
So again, with all the expenses added in there, this is an income of $15,000 a month, and I have to consider what's my total debt ratio that is allowed by the lender. That income is going to produce a purchase price of $571,000. How much is our average here in Washington? The average price of a house.
Depends on where you live.
So let's say Auburn.
$500,000 up on Lee Hill.
$500,000. So that family,
Yes,
with all
okay.
those expenses, could be in a position to buy a house.
Yeah.
That's at a down payment of 3.5% with an interest rate of 7%.
Okay.
So not,
That's bad.
so not bad, right? You can
That's
figure
not too
this
bad,
out.
yeah.
The information. So my point is, you got to work backwards when it comes to buying a house and think about all the expenses that you have, not just what the mortgage is going to be,
Right.
or the insurance. It's everything that you have going out, and that's why that budget makes so much sense. Because now you know you're at a deficit every single month. You got to include the deficit in your calculation to buy the house because you don't want to be house rich and income poor.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's real tough. Yeah. I remember there was this guy that had a BMW. Ooh, it was nice.
Mhm.
Really nice. Until you opened it up, it was literally gutted on
Right.
the inside. So it looked like he had a really nice car.
Yeah.
Must have got it from like Pound or some, some type of something. But when I say it was really gutted, it was gutted on the inside.
you can see the inside of the door like the framework.
Right. It was really gutted.
Yeah.
And, you drive by, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nobody knew unless you knew.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the same having a really nice house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have no money.
Right. Yeah. Man. Go ahead. Being in home improvement, being able to go into people's homes, I do see that a lot. Where I pull up to a house and I see that the house looks really nice. Maybe got some fresh paint or something. They need a new roof. Go in the house, it's completely trashed.
Yeah.
They usually have money for some reason. I don't know why. I gotta get over the fact that they have trash everywhere. But then the people who have a really nice house and everything is pristine, they don't usually have a lot of cash flow, or they don't have a lot of cash flow that they want to give to you right at that moment. They may be locked up somewhere, like in an LLC or like in a trust or like in a life insurance policy. They are paper rich, cash poor on purpose.
Gotcha.
Because their money is protected with tax shelters.
Okay.
So when they say, I don't want to pull that money out or I don't know where I'm going to get it from, they really don't. They'll talk to their financial advisor to figure out where can I pull the most amount of money out for the least amount of impact.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay for that home improvement because I know it's going to pay me. Having a conversation with people like that is I love those conversations because they're thinking, their mindset is, how's my money going to work for me? And this is a sound investment. I need to make sure what it looks like for my family 5 years from now because we already talked about it. And this issue that I'm having with the roof right now was not part of the plan.
Right.
But I will make it part of the plan, and then I'll call you back. You know, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So I get to see a lot of people making decisions in the time of when they really need it, and it's just a good test of human behavior of how decisions are made and how you plan for those things. And so planning ahead is going to make the biggest difference for you. So speaking of planning ahead, let's talk about thriving. So when it comes to budgeting, here's the sections that I want you to be able to make your quadrants. So this is our quadrant, money quadrant. The first one is going to be income. So make a line on your paper, one line here, one line here. And then on the top left, you're going to put income. And on the right, you're going to top right, you're going to put expenses, and these can be fixed or variable. So top right is fixed or variable expenses. And then you're going to have your debt on the bottom left. And then on the bottom right, you're going to have investments, savings and investments. So this quadrant is not meant to live on your notepad. This quadrant is meant to live in real life like a vision board. Has anybody ever made a vision board? Mm-hmm. Pictures of things that you want, like where you want your life to go? Mm-hmm. Do it for your money. Do it for the family so that you can all see it together of what it looks like. So when that money comes in, you already know what's happening. I'm not talking about money now. I'm talking about alignment. And alignment goes beyond your budget or your bank account or your credit. It's about the conversation you have with the people in your house that are impacted by the money and the currency. Are we in alignment? What happens when we earn an X amount of dollars or we have to buy something? Are we in alignment with our conversation? So when it comes to this, digital currencies and blockchain technology, it's a lot easier to get access to this information. And now you have more options as far as what AI has produced for us and digital currencies. We also have green economy and sustainable investments. So now we can have different conversations about the things that are in that quadrant. So if it's income, what sources of income do we have and what can we have? Is there a hobby that I want to work on that can produce money? Are expenses fixed or are they variable? Which ones are fixed and which ones are variable? Let's get them all out on the table so we can talk about them. Because when they're the variable ones are the ones that are going to bite us in the end. And then we talk about our debt on one side. What debts do we have together? What does that look like? How much is it? How do we work through it? Are we going to snowball or are we going to avalanche? These are just words I want you to be able to have those conversations. And then we have our investment and savings. Like, what does it look like for us to save? How much do we want to save? When do we want to save that? And you can create affirmations off of that. By the end of the year, December 31st, 2025, I plan to have $300,000 in my savings account. My savings account is here. This is how much the interest rate is that I have there. And this is what my account's going to look like. And then you work backwards from that. So by September, I need to have X amount of dollars. Or by June, I need to have this. So you can work backwards from that point. So when you get to the end of the year, it looks exactly how you thought it would. Now you're in alignment. But if you wait until September to put that in there, you don't have the capacity to generate that amount of money in 3 months, you'll never reach the goal. So how do, so I'm going to circle back to the global economy. So here's your vision board, my vision board. So you have your fixed and variable interest rate expenses, right? So which ones of these, we'll talk about the global economy in just a second, but which one of these are fixed and variable?
Groceries, fast food.
Groceries would be variable,
Variable.
right?
Yeah.
Streaming services,
The
I want to
price.
say fixed, but you know, they be changing their prices and
let's be real, they increase the prices.
they do.
They never reduce
It
the
never
prices.
really, yeah. That's true. That's
Yes,
true.
your phone bill can be variable depending on the plan that you have.
Yeah.
You hope it to be fixed. Medical expenses can be variable. Yep. Your rent can be variable.
Yeah.
Car repairs,
Yeah.
internet can be fixed, but that's a lower cost.
Right.
Fast food can be variable depending on where you go.
I mean, but couldn't you make it a fix and say, this is all that I'm going to spend
Yeah.
Exactly.
on
That's
fast food this month?
exactly. That's where I was going to get to. Is that they can be. No, you're good. You're right in line. We're in alignment.
Oh, God.
We in alignment. We talk. So I can make these all fixed by budgeting and allocating that money to go towards those things. And when it's off, then I know right away. Speaking of being off, so when you're in alignment, this is something I talked to my daughter about. The counterfeit department in the FBI. Do you know what they do? It's a weird question. I'm just asking. Do you know what the counterfeit team does?
Get rid of fake money.
Okay. They gotta know what fake money looks like.
Well, yeah.
And
Right.
they alert businesses of what to look for
Mhm.
when receiving money, to
Counterfeit.
how to, there's a word I'm looking for, how to notice, but that ain't the
Identify.
word. Identify,
Yeah,
thank you.
there you go.
Identify fraudulent
Yeah.
money.
What I learned is that they study the right dollar more than they study the wrong dollar.
Okay.
And the reason they do that is because they want to know that dollar so well, they want to be in alignment with that dollar so well, that when they see something that's not that, they can quickly recognize it, as opposed to trying to identify all the wrong things. They change. They vary. So we work on the fixed thing. That way, anything that's not like that,
Yeah.
we
Gotcha.
immediately kick it out. It's like a red flag, right? Red flags are like brake lights on the freeway. You don't ignore brake lights, but you ignore red flags. What would happen if you ignored red brake lights?
Right.
Crash.
Same thing that happens when you ignore red flags.
Yeah.
So here's basically how the wealth dynamics works, and here's where most of us are. This term, victim, please don't take it personal. It's not directed towards anybody. It's how the world sees you. So on the very bottom here, we're going to work our way up. On the very bottom, you're a victim because you're either in debt or you have no income. In an economic sense, you're a victim of what's happening around you. Then you get to survivor. So all you got to do here is make some money and pay some debt. Then that can get you to here, which is now you're a survivor. Survivor, they get paychecks, right? Money's coming in. It could be you get the same amount of money that you need every single month, but your paychecks are coming in. You're living paycheck to paycheck. And most people in this category are $250 away from a financial catastrophe. Because of the variability, because they didn't plan and budget, because that paycheck doesn't cover everything. The second you have something that goes wrong, then you're now becoming a victim because you got more debt than you have income.
Yeah.
So the further we can get away from this, the better we'll be. But then let's say you move to a worker. Now you're trading time for money, which is okay because you've built your whole life to get to this job. You've got your education. You got the job that you wanted, the family you wanted. Now you're just trading time. You're showing up to work. You're getting a paycheck. You're going home. Perfectly fine with that. But that's where most of us live. in those three categories. And sometimes we fluctuate between worker and survivor, and it feels like that. Right? When you got money coming in and everything is good, and then that catastrophe happens, and now you're surviving again. And what you don't want is to get down to victim where you have too much debt and no money. Then now, with the creation of all the AI tools that you have and all of the gig economy, now you become a player in your own dream of like what you want to accomplish. So now you can do like network marketing, you can do side hustles, you can do things that produce more money because now you can create a little bit more and now you can create a cash flow business. And there's all kinds of tools out there for you to look up and find out what those are for you. But my recommendation is to find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because that will make the cash flow easier. And don't do it for the money. Do it because you love to do it. The money will show up. Now you become a builder. So you go from cash flow business to now you're building something. Your products are now being. What's going on?
Yeah.
Nobody notice that?
Now I do.
Products. So now this is a abbreviation for production.
Lulu.
And scalability. So now you can scale up because you've done the work here as a player. Now you know how to do it. Now you can scale up to the next thing. Then you become an architect. Now you start to bring people in. Now you start to hire people. And I don't mean just anybody, people that you know that you want to see succeed. But now let's say you're investing in real estate and you have a property. And our group here now owns a duplex or something. And we have people that we know that do contract work. They just don't have enough business. So now we can bring them on as a partner. And now we're building a team of people that we want to see succeed. Then you become on the sovereign level. Now your business is running, everything's efficient. And now you have time and location freedom. Now you can be wherever you want. Your business is running itself. You're sleeping, your money is not. How much money can you earn in 8 hours versus how much money your money can earn in 24 hours?
Wow.
Even if it's the same dollar figure, it's 3 times the amount. I'd rather be asleep earning money than awake earning money. Then you become a visionary, also spoken. So now you can inspire and change people.
Yeah.
You can provide change for people. You can give them vehicles to get them from this section to here. Because now you can give them something tangible that they can create or take on and move and build for themselves as well.
Yeah.
So, savings. So once you get to that point, how are you saving money? So this is going to help you save for future and current future events. And this is where you start to build resilience because now you have options. And the best way to do that is to automate your savings, but make sure it's going to the right place to get you the most amount of money in return for the money that you're putting in. So again, this requires some planning. So who are you talking to? Where's the savings, the money going? What's the return on it? What's the rule of 72? How long is it going to take for that money to double based on the return that I have, the rate? Put that into your budget and plan it. So I want to talk about the dollar real quick. This chart, you may agree or disagree with it. It's just a chart. So don't get emotional. So let's talk about the dollar in the African American community, the white community, the Jewish community, and the Asian community. How long does the dollar last in the African American community? Based on this statistic, 6 hours.
Wow.
Not long. This is 17 days, 29 days, or 20 days and 29 days. Why is there a discrepancy here?
Was it in February?
I would suggest that they invest in their own. And it just kind of keeps, kind of recycling, through their own
Infrastructure. And the reason why I put this up here is because there was infrastructure. And this is not a black or white thing. This is just, there was something there that created jobs, that created all this stuff for a group of people that provided all this stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And now it's gone down.
Now it's gone down.
It no longer exists. So
Black
the
Wall
question
Street.
is, how can a community get back to something like this where your dollar is now being circulated in the infrastructure that you built? Because right now, 6 hours is not very long. So your dollar, even if it's stretched 29 days and you have no infrastructure, it's not coming back. It's coming back either $1 or less.
Yeah.
So the longer we want this in circulation, we have to make sure that the interest rate's there so that if it's in circulation for a week, how much is that dollar return? That's the questions that we need to ask.
I get my nails done here.
Yeah, for those that are watching online, what he's showing is the Black Wall Street is the example, and once you get a hold of these slides, you'll be able to see. And so, I don't know if this is part of the discussion, but there had been talk about getting back to Black Wall Street, you know, and so then that's the question: how do we, you know, what do we do to get 7 minutes on our dollar?
Yeah. It's a lot easier now than it was before because we have a vast platform for communication.
Yeah.
That's true.
We can reach across the United States and communicate with people who are in a different state, from us in a different country, in seconds. Well, when this was happening, that didn't happen. Black Wall Street was just in that section.
In Tulsa, yeah.
Right, in Tulsa. So now Tulsa's everywhere
Yeah.
because we can communicate everywhere.
Gotcha.
Well, and, you know, I think also a little offset, just a smidge. I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact is that we don't support our own. We would rather invest our money in other categories instead of putting the money back into our own shops. We'd rather go shop at Walmart than pay maybe an extra $2-3 to go buy that shirt from somebody that I know that sells apparel.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the mindset is different.
Yeah.
Back then they were committed
Right.
to keeping the black dollar the black dollar. Yeah.
That word, that word.
And so now, with us being able to go everywhere, they're less committed. I remember there was a charge out for just 1 month to shop and buy black.
Yeah.
And to hear all of the comments of why I can't and why this is difficult and why it's easier to do it this way, there has to be a sense of commitment
Right.
in order for us to even try
Yeah.
to build back up, you know, to
Yeah.
Black Wall Street was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll ever get there, but because there was just a sense of commitment that these generations do not have.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And it is about how do we have the conversation until you can begin doing that, and how do we keep the conversation going and keep it consistent and committed to it and it be in alignment.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about stores, movie theaters,
Yes.
private airplanes, schools, like all that stuff existed.
Transportation.
It all existed there.
Wow.
So it's not impossible. It's just
Right.
how do we begin to have that conversation? What does that look like? And stay committed to it. And I know there are people out there who are championing that effort. I just don't know who they are because they haven't talked to me about it. And I don't know where they are. So.
Right.
But I haven't also reached out to somebody and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here's my strategy. What do you think?
Yeah.
I haven't done that. So I want my dollar to expand past 6 hours.
Right.
If that's,
For sure.
That's my category. I want it to expand past 30 days if that's my category.
Yeah.
I want it to expand as far as it can because my dollar has no emotional attachment. I have emotional attachment to my
To the
dollar.
dollar.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
okay
yeah.
if I use it to continue to grow. It's not going to be mad.
It ain't gonna turn soft either.
It's not going to
It ain't gonna
soft.
get soft.
So one way to do that is our life insurance. So this is talking about different options of life insurance. Now, I'm not a life insurance salesperson. I'm not qualified to sell you life insurance. I'm just telling you that it's out there and that there are some different strategies that you can talk about when you talk to a person who sells life insurance because it's not that expensive, especially if you start early. If you start young, it's a lot cheaper because you're a lot healthier and your premiums are lower. But how do you put that money into the right vehicle? There's whole life, fixed premiums, guaranteed death benefit. People don't want to talk about death. It happens. You're going to die. You're going to pay taxes. It's just the way it's going to be. Just might as well maximize our time and give that to the next generation. There's also universal life, variable universal life, index universal life. There's all these different options out there that if we don't have these conversations and talk about these, where's our money going to go? When we get our tax return, how much of it's going here? 500. How much of 500 is going here, it's going there. Like, we have to be able to allocate that money into the right vehicles early and often.
And by vehicle, not Cadillac
Listen, I was going, I had my hand up.
Sorry, I- Yeah.
I'm supposed to take that money and go buy a whole bunch of shoes. and things
Oh, this turned
of
to
that
me
nature.
again.
Okay, I feel attacked.
But because everybody's thinking about right now, right?
Yes,
No one
yes.
is thinking about, I'm not gonna say no one, a majority of people are not thinking about the future. They're thinking about satisfying themselves right now in
Yeah.
this moment.
Yeah,
And so when you say things like using your income tax, right,
Yeah.
this is sitting down and having a plan that this is what I'm going to do with my income tax. And no, it's not going to be 2-3 pairs of shoes this time.
Right.
We're going to take $500 and invest it here.
Yeah.
And so-
Absolutely.
I'm just saying this for the young people that might be hearing this, is that it's not too young for even them to get started. As soon as you're able to have an income tax, you should be thinking about investing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking to one of my sons, and I said, your friends are going to laugh at you because of the shoe choice you made for the first day of school. I was there. My first pair of Nikes was used Nikes. I was so happy I got those cross trainers. I even made myself a sweatshirt that said cross trainer on the back, and it went cross trainer, like it wasn't even straight. I wore it to school that first day. I cleaned up my shoes. That was the first pair of Nikes I've ever had, and they laughed at me. And then I bought all the shoes. Anyway, that's the problem that I had.
Right.
So,
Sounds
anyway,
like trauma.
Christian, I got a couple pair of shoes in the back.
But let's move past the shoe subject.
Okay, so here's my thing though. What I passed down was, okay, son, instead of you buying shoes, I'm gonna buy you some stock in Nike.
Okay.
So when your friends make fun of you for not having the latest and greatest, just tell them thank you.
Oh, right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the investment,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was a good conversation.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's
I'll
it.
buy you shoes. They're just gonna be in a different format.
Yeah. That's it.
So that's the conversation that we have to have now in order to combat that. Okay, I got a tax return. I want to have some fun. I'm not saying don't have fun.
Right.
Plan for it though,
Right.
included with your other things. So life insurance is a great way to go because you can automate it and it just automatically goes in there every single month, every single paycheck, and it's a very minimal amount. And then you get used to it. It's almost like you take off the training wheels of like, my money's going to a different place, and now it's growing up, and now you start to see those statements coming in, and you start to have those meetings, and you're like, now you're competing with the family. This is what I got going on. I got life insurance. I got X amount of dollars in there. This is what I want to do with that,
Yeah.
right? So now you have a different conversation. So this comes to investing in other things as well. So real estate is another way, stocks and bonds. You have more options. We have a lot more options out there. It's just what vehicle do we want to use to do those investment options. So investing has never been easier through the digital technology. I can't remember how difficult it would have been investing in cattle back then or investing in salt mines. You didn't really have the ability to do that. But now you can invest in salt mines because we have the internet and it gives us those tools and access to all those other things. So the power of equity. So we're talking about you building equity in your house. Here's a sample of what that looks like. So it's kind of hard to see, but I can tell you that this is the 300,000. Remember that 300,000 we were talking about between the 5% and the 7% because you did those extra things on your credit report and now you've got a 5% rate? Well, over a 21-year period, this is $300,000. 21 years at a 7% return because you have a brokerage account that's owned by your trust. You're not putting any extra money in, but what you're getting out of it annually, by the time 21 years comes, you got $1.2 million
Wow.
in your account. Just because you put that $300,000 in there. Now, 21 years from now, it grows. And so there's some strategies out there online, you can probably find them, that talks about how do you now grow this part. Right? So you put $300,000 in, your grandchildren now get the $600,000, half of it. You keep the $600,000 in there, you continue to grow for another 21 years at $600 at a 7% rate, no more contributions, just the base
The
amount.
base amount.
Now you're at 2.5 million. You're building generational wealth. This is 42 years of building money. And you can pass that tax free. So now you talk about sheltering your money.
Yeah.
Tell me what financial advisor is not going to call you and want to talk to you about that. So now they're calling you instead of you calling them. So this is not difficult. It's just how do we get to the 300,000?
Yeah.
If we work backwards, we figure out I got to reduce my debt. I got to make sure my income is there. I got to make sure I don't have as much variability. I got to plan ahead. I got to budget. I got to make sure my credit report's on point. I got to make sure all these things are happening so that I can get to this point, and then we plan for that. And this is what we're talking about at our family meeting.
Stay in line.
Stay in line.
I'm in line with this line right here.
Yeah. Steady growth.
Yeah. Borrowing is another way. So just because you get a loan doesn't mean that that's a bad loan. Again, it's like broccoli. It's it's not the most delicious thing. Well, it could be. But you're also, if you're going to eat carbs, why not eat something that's good for you, right? You're not borrowing money. You're leveraging the banks, not borrowing money. And let's say you all have an investment of $1.2 million. Now you all have a fund in your group, in your business, that you can borrow from each other and lend each other money. Now you have private lending options. And there are real estate companies out there, real estate investors out there who look for private money because it's easier to get that money. And now they can take that money and put it into their rehab loan, and then they'll pay you back. I created a model that was a 12% year-over-year return on investment. So taking $10,000 from 5 people and putting $50,000 into a house and getting a 12% return, everybody would make money because the market dictated that I would.
What you, yeah.
Right? And so there's options out there. You don't have to worry just about the bank. You have options and tools that we can utilize with your community. So let's plan for the future. Again, don't ignore 401k plans and money that looks that's free money because it doesn't look like free money. So plan for the future using your 401k plan if you have an employer. If you don't have an employer or you're self-employed, you can still get a 401k. It's just how much can you contribute to that IRA. So this is something that you can do with the family. I try to use just an acronym that's already out there because people are familiar with SMART goals. Something specific, something that's measurable and attainable, relevant, and timely. And so you create your goals in your family meeting around these things. So what specific goal are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to save $100,000? Are we trying to invest $50,000? Like what specifically do we want to accomplish? You have to outline it. Is it measurable? How do we measure what our investment is doing? Statements, bank statements, credit reports, those financial tools that we get. Is it attainable? Can we do it? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the knowledge? Do we have the current capacity to do it? Is it attainable? And is it relevant to what we want to accomplish? Then you set a time limit to it. By this time, this is what I want to do. So this is happening in schools now where kids are learning SMART goals. And so when you sit down to the table with them and talk about this, it's relevant to what they are learning right now. So let's talk about the benefits of financial literacy and then I'll wrap up. So the benefits are simply financial knowledge and tools that allow you to be in charge of your financial situation and make informed decisions and apply those new rules. Security, responsible budgeting and saving can give you the confidence to face unexpected challenges or changes, expenses. Short-term and long-term goals, make steps towards those goals, and then stress reduction. We're going to talk about that's a whole different conversation when you're talking about reducing stress in your household because you have already planned for things and you know what you're doing next. And then wealth accumulation. So saving and investing allows you to have some more financially secure future and lead to early retirement. So you can actually enjoy that family in that time sooner rather than waiting until you're 75, 80 years old. Because we were just talking about Social Security a second ago or a little bit ago, and we don't know if that's going to be guaranteed and what that return is going to be and how much it's going to be. And inflation is going higher than what Social Security is paying. So when we retire, I can't even imagine what it would be like to live off just that with the expenses going up the way that they are. So how can we plan for the future to help our younger generation thrive in that situation? So one story that I wanted to tell you before we wrap up, and I heard the story from this guy named Marco Ruoff, and I'm not going to tell it like he told it because I would do it a disservice. I just want to give you the bullet points of what it was because it impacted me so much when I heard it. I listened to it on CD again, over and over. Like the way that he delivered this message was so impactful. So it was talking about Michelangelo, again, Da Vinci, right? Leonardo da Vinci, and the picture of the Last Supper. This is about Michelangelo and how he created David. And everybody asked him, how did you do that? Like, what gave you the inspiration? And they asked all these questions about how he got the marble, because he created them out of one piece of marble. And do you know how big it is? The statue of David?
7 feet tall, 7, 8 feet tall.
Yeah, really big, right? So you see it on pictures, you don't really get the brevity of like what it took to do that, chipping away marble. And they said, how did you create David out of that? He said, I didn't create David out of it. I just took away everything that wasn't David. Right? And so when he told me that, I was like, that's my life right there. That's me saying, I got to take away all the stuff that's not in alignment to what I want. It's not me. Financial struggle is not me. That's not what I want. So I got to chip that away. Debt, it's not me. I got to chip that away. I got to chip all these things away so that I can finally be in alignment to who I said I would be. Right? And so that story really gave me the idea of things that if we accumulate, possessions, just they possess us.
Yeah.
Right? And so the more we can get past that, the better we can build ourselves for our future.
Yeah.
So it's important to acknowledge the key challenge in financial literacy, which is sustaining change and influencing long-term behavior, because this is about behaviors. The money is not doing it on its own. It's us impacting and influencing that money. So the knowledge that we've discussed today are valuable, but real transformation happens when we put those insights into consistent practice. The decision to manage your finances more effectively is not just about understanding numbers. It's about shifting your mindset and making those financial changes a permanent part of your daily life. And so really this isn't even about money. It's about something bigger than that. It's about time. Because if I can make $1 million in 5 minutes, or I need to make $1 million in 50 years, that's the difference. The million is still a million. It's how long is it going to take me to get there. So this is more about time than it is about money. So this is where mindset coaching can make a lasting impact. And so at Laddership Academy, we focus on developing the mindset necessary to fulfill those alignments that we say we're going to do. It's about cultivating habits, building confidence, and breaking through the limiting beliefs that we have about money and about our situation. So whether it's overcoming fear of budgeting, changing your approach to debt, planning for a house, planning for a car, paying off debt, building credit, it's all about improvement and improving your situation, one piece at a time. So if you find, like what we talked about today, difficult to implement on your own, then I will offer you the opportunity to have a conversation with me at Laddership Academy. It's laddershipacademy.com. I'm always available. You can find me on Facebook. Send me a private message, and we can talk about what steps we need to take to help you get to where you want to be. Now, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't do insurance. I just work with mindset, and that's something that I've done for my whole career.
That's good.
It's me influencing, impacting people based on the things that they said that they wanted, and trying to find a way to get to the things that they said they want, and remove those barriers, chip away everything that's not you. So with that, in closing, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your participation, and I look forward to talking to you.
Awesome.